Thank you, Eliza. That's beautiful. Welcome to this gathering hosted by the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bowling Green. Whether you're here in person or online, we welcome you and we are glad that you're joining us this morning. My name is Janine and I'm the service associate today. I would ask that you please, if you have one of these handy devices, set it to silent so that we can be present here with each other this morning. This service is being live streamed, and if this large room isn't comfortable for you, there's the little room right in as you came in the door, and you can turn the TV on there and watch it remotely. It's also available, there's a screen in the fellowship hall, if for any reason you would prefer to move to one of those spaces. We are a welcoming congregation, whoever you are, however you identify, wherever you come from, and whoever you love, please know that you are welcome here. For Unitarian Universalists, the flaming chalice is a symbol of the light of learning and the love of our community. As our congregation's chalice is being lit, if you have one at home, please feel free to light that with us. This morning, our guest speaker, Miwon, will be lighting the chalice, and Roxanne will be giving us a chalice reading.
In this small flamed well, the beacon light of lanterns, guiding travelers home, the warmth of hearth fires tended through the generations, the transforming energy of furnaces, and the power and life of our sun. May these blessings be kindled in each of us.
Please join in singing Rise Up, O Flame, which is hymn 362.
Our opening reading is Cultivo una rosa blanca. I grow a white rose. I tend a white rose in June just as in January for the sincere friend who offers the kind helping hand, and for the cruel one who tears my heart inside. No nettles nor thorns do I grow. I simply tend a white rose.
Please join and rise in body or spirit as we sing together Love Makes a Bridge, which is hymn 325. The words will be up on the screen. Each week we take a moment to read together a component of our mission, vision, covenant, or our UU values or principles. And today we are going to read, there's our UU values with a beautiful graphic, justice. And so if you would read together with me the UU value of justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions within our congregation and the society at large. Thank you. We are now going to invite the children to go to their own religious explorations, and so we are going to sing them on their way with hymn 1057, Go Lift It Up. So if the young people would like to head on out, their teachers are waiting to guide them to the next building. And, oops, here we go. Go lift it up. We will now have a few moments for meditation, reflection, and prayer. The singing bowl will lead us into silence. After the silence, you're invited to join in the song Spirit of Life. It's hymn 123 in the gray hymnal, and the words will be on the screen. Unitarian Universalists have a wide array of beliefs, and the speakers at our Sunday services come from many places and many traditions. With us to share her thoughts today is Dr. Miwon Choe. She is a professor of art education, here we go, at the Department of Art and Design at Western Kentucky University. She coordinates Art to Dream, an art in education program that emphasizes preschool through 12th grade community cross-sector collaborations, as well as various P through 12 service learning programs. Dr. Choe and her Art to Dream team is one of the 4 Kentucky 4-H 2024 Volunteer Hall of Fame awardees in recognition of her contributions and the positive impact upon the lives of Kentucky 4-H members. During the past decades, Miwon has spent a significant amount of time in Cuba for multiple cross-cultural community art exchange projects. These projects include I think that might be pronounced in Spanish, but Create Arte, Illustrate a Dream, Experimental Art School, Cuban Teachers Association, Cuba Amor, The Island of My Love, The Stories and Faces of Cuba, which is at Western Kentucky University and Kennesaw State University. Currently, her multi-year collaborative projects include Sisters on the Bridge, Islamic Art of Creative Empathy. We were very lucky to have Dr. Choe with us earlier in September of 2024, where we had a workshop and community dinner celebrating that. I think perhaps one of the best ways to get to know her, I'm going to share a poem she wrote. It was inspired by our opening reading today, which was written by Jose Marti, who is a national literary hero of Cuba and a very important person in their history. Yo soy una rosa blanca. I am a white rose in a garden of poetry. I survived many years to rise what I was meant to be. Con una rosa blanca that lives deep in the heart of heart and inside the soul. With a bridge we walk for the motherland we share. I will fill that world with invitation and a songbird to everyone that touches us from inside, because the better world is possible. Con una rosa blanca yo soy. And that was by our speaker today. And at that, I'm going to hand it over to Miwon.
Oops. I would like to start by thanking so very much from the bottom of our house, bottom of our heart, for giving me this opportunity to share and talk about something that is very close to me. And it was a little challenging for me, difficult to share some of these personal stories. But I'd like to go ahead and get started with the image that I think a long time ago, let me see, there we go. The one on the left-hand side, just about a million years ago, when I was a graduate student, and I was producing some things for teaching programs, and it's a preparation. And I guess I was already thinking about what it means to be home and house. And also I was joined by an image of the house. It's a simple house painting, maybe, but it's by my colleague who presents two sides. When we talk about multiple perspectives, the house is showing two different dimensions. So it's a technically linear perspective, but it has the meaning to her life and her work, and also I connected to that. And to introduce myself a little bit, I'm a native of South Korea, and we have to fly about 16 hours direct flight. And it's a big city. Seoul has about 7 million. It's the largest, a quarter of a population is living in the city right there. Oh, that one. So you can see that Korea is divided in half, the only country, and there's a DMZ going on, demilitarized zone right there. And historically, long time ago, and it has the border of China and Russia, very tiny portion of Russia right there. So they have been our closest neighbors that influence our lives. And so even though it is a big city and very cosmopolitan, many Koreans, most of them, I would dare to say, live on their particular perspective they've been brought up with, the ideas, and that's just a way of thinking rather than anything particular. And I'd like to introduce you to Cheonbukyeong, which is the oldest script from the old Joseon, Kojoseon, right there. And it does talk about one. And starting from one of the three important things, sky, that is the heaven, we refer that as a heaven, and earth, it comes down. And the third one that connects the heaven and earth is human. This letter kind of has a significant in Chinese, is a pictograph, so it kind of shows, meaning shows the what we understand. Now, this is number one in Chinese character, and then the number one is kind of tilted a little bit. I have to kind of look at it from your angle. And so tilted a little bit, and it's going to fall. So there's another one right there that holds. That is human being, the human. And then there's another character that goes, this character alone could be human being, but there's another one that comes ingan. The second character symbolizes the door. There's a symbol of a door, and there's a light. In the middle, there's sunlight right there. It's the same symbol. So that means that when two forces are joined together, and the door opens and the light comes in. That is exactly the meaning of human being in Chinese characters that I was brought up with. And so one is the ultimate reality. It's the heavenly force and divine deity right there. It appeared first. And then earth was the second. And then between the earth and heaven right there, we are. There's a human being right there. And so how do we get up there back and forth, you question? And there's a symbolic bird that has 3 legs. Each leg represents one of the 3. So the Trinity concept goes a long way, 2000 before BC. There we go. So earth, heaven, earth, and human. This appears in all kinds of places in traditional places in Korea. So everything begins with one and returns to the one. The one expresses itself as heaven, earth, and human, all together existing with humans. So we talk about the importance of the bridge right there. And I do believe sometimes do we really see the way the world it is, or do we see the world the way we are? And this is something that I did not understand. And after the 3rd time I tried, failure, and then I made it to my university, Hongik University, and I didn't know at that time, but now I know. And the very name of Hongik University is giving good deeds to humans. I didn't know. Hongik, that means that it connects to the foundation mythology. The Son of Heaven came down right here, and he was asked to keep the promise of do good for the humans. So he came down, he was lonely, he wanted to have a wife, and 2 animals showed up. Okay, I want to be humans, and those 2 animals. And okay, so there's a challenge. So you have 100 days in a cave with no sunlight and garlic. Why garlic? I don't know, but garlic and herbs. Then if you can persevere, then you'll become human. And tiger couldn't make it, so he just ran out after 20 days, and then it's the bear that persevered all the way and transformed into the wife of the sun. Right there, and so that the very name of her is considered in Russian, because Russian queen, and it has that meaning to it right there. So that's our foundation mythology right there, and means that unofficial national motto. People know this, and Republic of Korea, which means expanding goodwill for all human beings. That's where I went to college. I did not know, so that's where I came from. And then I'd like to introduce just a little bit about my family. Last name is in the South Korea of southern part. And during the 3 Kingdom period, it goes a long time ago. So I could say I'm a 33 generations of this period right there. And then you can see this is the biggest gathering place. And I was always told that those two pavilions represent yin and yang, female and male forces right there. And you can see the bird. Okay, these are considered hint of heaven. So on top of the temple right there. And so, noblesse oblige, right there, okay? And I was brought up with these 6 things that are important to us and all through our lives. And nobility extends beyond just the entitlement, you know, and it has obligations. And there are 6 things. And it was a little, I did my best to translate. These are the 6 things that we were supposed to live by. Avoid greed, and don't accumulate too much wealth, and always generous to guests and people who come and visit you, and never deal during the bad crops. That means don't be unfair. Be fair for people who don't have much of that, and be frugal and always be modest, and never allow anyone around certain surroundings go hungry. And so this mantra I kept for many years until there's one son who decided that I'm going to not follow, you know, accumulate too much wealth, and that began the demise of the family name right there. And that is my father's side. And my mother's side is, her name, I would like to introduce my great aunt, who was the very first female artist of Western painting. And I did not know, I found the book that she wrote in the attic. She went to Europe and at the turn of the 20th century, and she wrote a book called Your Mother Was a Pioneer to her children. She was a little bit too outspoken and was ahead of her time. Society did not take her kindly. Therefore, she had a very tragic ending, and this is the book that she wrote. So you can see where I'm coming from, and you wonder, well, so that's not enough about yourself. So how is it that you connected to Cuba? Well, I'm an accidental tourist, so I would like to introduce 3 music teachers. Matilde Shearsby, and he was my Zimbabwean drum teacher. And Andrew Lazaro, who taught me how to play conga and all those Latin drums. And they told me that if you go to Cuba, you know that they speak with drums and rhythm. Really? And if you come to, well, if you go to Zimbabwe, they sing a song as a protest. And when missionaries came and they expected us to sing and do things in a certain way, we just kind of had to follow, but we made our own way to survive. So that song was, so that's really interesting. And then I ended up using that as a tool to go to Cuba. And then I also had a music teacher. I'd like to introduce Dr. Stevens, that I would like to pay homage. And I was very poor as a graduate student. I didn't have any money to pay anything at all. So she felt sorry for me in some way and kindly picked me up, take me to her place, gave me a lesson, and brought me back, and without any compensation. And that really changed my life, that she did that. So with all that together, and I went to Cuba. And when Western, at the beginning of my career, thought, they offered me the junior faculty grant. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to Cuba. But I couldn't say music, so I said, I'm going to find out some Cuban folk art, the art of people that has risen from their tradition. I knew nothing about it, so Western was kind enough to say, okay, go ahead. So I did, and these are the kind of things that I found: music, the color, Russian car, Lara. It was amazing to see. And you see the sign everywhere: we will never surrender. We will be who we are. Don't give us, any other ideas. And also Cuban balcony. And I was actually shocked to see all the school buses. There's a group of people called Pastors for Peace. They buy, pull out school buses and fill in donations, and then have a caravan of a long line to go to Cuba and donate and leave school bus. So they were basically everywhere. So fast forward a little bit, and then I found a school. I wanted to do something that has a conversational meaning to it, and we decided to have an art exchange, drawing, and something that has a meaning to it. So there we go. We went to experimental art school right here, and introduction to introduction to introduction through multiple layers. And we took our Western students' work and children's work as well. So that's Jesus, the director, right there on the left-hand side. And these are just some of the paintings that we have a communication. You can see that Norberto, and he said, I always had the little demonic things inside, fighting in between good and bad. I don't know which one. And then the response to that particular painting was Peaceable Kingdom. It's inspired by, that was Edward Hicks, and he was a pastor for the Quaker. So there we go. So there's having a little conversation there. And it talks about the inspiration of art and creativity that comes from that. I don't know. It's divine right there. That, fingers are touching. And then Emily is the granddaughter of Western's librarian who is retired. She's 90 years old, Fina. And that's her, Fina, in 1930s, and talks about how Cuba was filled with the arts and music, and that was part of her growing up. There we go. And this one is by Haley Young, my former student, and she's actually doing this. She used on purpose the whiteout, just to see it's a strategy, and I want to see if I can white out and make it something a little bit better the way I want it. So there we go. She's kind of trying to figure it out. And the response to that by Jesus is, this is an owl that is representation of, in their tradition, wisdom. And the power of the snake right there is considered as the major force, the important one. And this one is, I think, very interesting. And all these projects included writing. And she writes about Laura Benitez, and it is so great to dream always because there's a space that we can go, even though they may be far away. And she wrote, these dreams make us happy because thanks to our dreams, we know that we can do far more than what we can imagine. And then she said, happiness, that is the most important thing of our blessing. And if you are happy, you know you're on the right track. And then she talks about what is success, and it is something that if you can go to bed every night in peace. So I guess even that million years ago when I did that silly project, I was thinking about what it means to be peaceful and how do we find that space for us. And then my student responded, and Brandy Day, and she writes, life is about unlocking our inner peace, love, hope, and kindness to those we meet. Success is achieved when we allow others to help us, when we ourselves help others. Burdens are too large to be carried alone. Together, all is possible. What do you think? So she wrote this in response to what Laura wrote. And gradually, things kind of evolve, and everything seems to be not scripted, but we didn't know this is the direction we were going. And the image appears to be a place, things that you're familiar, and then there's a house. And you can actually see this house in 2 dimensions by Nellie. And this is when let's go ahead and explore a little bit what this means. And this is the theme of my dissertation, walls and bridges, house and home. And that was something that I was wrestling. What makes home? What makes house? How do we find, especially when we are moving around from place to place? And people, for the most part, I would say, have a choice to move or not move, or to be or not to be. I would like to think to give us a little bit more agencies of our life right there. So what is home? And is it really a common experience for all of us? And we don't really say make yourself a house, make yourself home. And it could be many different ways. And so does the memory really of the house mean something? Right there. And then do we create pathways? How do we get there? What makes us feel home and comfortable right there? And then we were looking at 2 different ways, inside out and outside in. Sometimes you have a physical structure that you have to build, you have to have, But on the other hand, that's not all. Sometimes you can be in a biggest place and fancy and you're not exactly most home right there. And you can be a very modest place and still that is what you want. So we use our imagination to connect. And then this is where we think about, how do we know what other people feel? Do we really know? Maybe, maybe not. This is something that we ask and we answer to ourselves. The very answer that we give, I believe, in my view, shapes who we are, and we use our imagination right there. And do we really see ourselves in the image of others? And my students say, I'm the biggest problem, I'm the biggest asset, all that. And so just to give us a little bit perspective right there in Spanish, I'm totally wannabe Spanish speaker, I'd like to be better than yesterday. And and us, nosotros, that very word means really us, two words, we and others. You have to have those two combined in Spanish. I thought that was very interesting. I didn't know. And also in South African Bantu language and Ubuntu, some of you are probably familiar, you've heard it. It means that you cannot exist alone. You exist because there's a relationship with the other. The others will define you. And that is the very idea of yin and yang right there. One defines the other. You can't have one without the other. So wherever we are, whoever we are, we connect, we build memories, we weave it in a way, and this is the kind of things that we ask, and then we'd like to, I can kind of, go ahead and connect to our workshop that we'd like to propose. And one of the things that I completely accidentally come into, this is not something planned, and I ran into two photographers, one from Argentina, one from the States, and who goes around the world, and with one string, this is all the same string, and then have people take the photo of it. There we go, string project. And we also did small houses right there, and this was one of the art projects. But it's not the project itself. When your hands are busy and you relax, and it gives time to visit. And one house was not really huge, but when you put it all together, it becomes a very meaningful place. All of a sudden, wow, it kind of gives you an idea. And this is what 6th grade wrote about this particular project. Home to me means something more than just brick and mortar. It's a place that you had your best and worst memories, a place you laughed and cried, a place you and your family come to celebrate and socialize, a place that means something to you. No one can tell you what your home is, so this choice is yours. And then Cuban student responded, it's a place you live, sanctuary, and the love is shared, and the nights are spent, but it really isn't a place. It really is just a physical place. Are we still in the process of going there? So this is an invitation to all of you that is upcoming in 2 weeks, and this is my colleague Nelly's painting, and it will be a great platform and forum that all of us to come and share, and how do we capture our memories, and in your small tiny house. And this was our last visit in Cuba in 2020. You can see that Jose Marti's statue is everywhere, and he's actually writing a poem for us. And one of the things I'd like to invite you, I think sensory is really nice, so we thought that maybe we'll have a gingerbread house decoration, which I may need your help, because I'm not really a good baker, but we will, and you can see obviously which one is mine right there. Fina, who is a friend of mine from Cuba, 92 years old, and she's been here for many, many, many years. She was a librarian at Western, and she talks about where her home is, regardless where she is physically. So this is one of the projects my student did. You can see the 5 panels right there, different places. And this is another thing that we will be discussing when there's a panel of 1-to-3 ratio. Okay, that's exactly what I got from fabric store, the fabric core. And when it is 1-to-3 ratio, and there are 5 of them, mathematically, it is infinite the way you arrange it. So basically, it's the idea about the way we define who we are is infinite. Okay, so to conclude, I would like to, I don't know, I'm a school teacher. I always identify myself as a school teacher, and our world, my role of where I'm coming from and the way I do is to make a little small, tiny difference for any little thing that come to you. And what we're looking for is probably one step at a time, follow yellow brick road right there. And it might be in the journey. And I'd like to show you Ariana, who's on the left in red, coming from, she will be here in 2 weeks, originally from Cienfuegos, Cuba, and our friend Nelly. And she will be here as well for our presentation. This is in Cuba, our last trip. And invitation for all of you. I would love to invite you to come and explore. And in 2 weeks, and we will have lots of different things, share memories, and it'll give us a platform to discuss, and poetry writing, and gingerbread house decoration. And there's authentic Cuban food. We don't have any Cuban restaurant, but there's a Cuban family who's willing to cook for us. So there will be authentic Cuban food. And of course, we can't talk about Cuba without music, so there'll be some live music that's happening right there. And I'd like to thank you, and thank you very much for this opportunity and giving me something that is very close to share. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you. Thank you, Juan, for taking us on a journey to Korea and Cuba and then bringing us back home. I hope everyone can come to the event on March 7th. And as Miwon said, there will be food. We are asking for donations to cover the cost of the food. And if you have extra and you would like to sponsor, especially one of Miwon's students who may not have quite so much cash, we'll take extra donations for that. And there'll be a container when you come to the dinner to pay for that. Thank you. And there's a flyer. Yes, we will be handing these out. So we invite you to take some and pass them around to your friends, and it'll be in our newsletter coming out very soon. So hope to see you there. So today was a service where we had, Miwon is a friend of our church and comes often, and we often have many other people who've come to us from many places. If you would like to learn more about Unitarian Universalism or about this congregation, we invite you to speak with a member of our membership team. And come to, on the second Sunday after church, we have a special question and answer session, and that's held in the library. At any time, you can talk to anyone about being a Unitarian Universalist. Our membership team members have a little book sticker on their name tags, so you can ask around to find someone, or if you just ask any of us, and we'll point you in the direction of Sharon. Sharon here this morning? And Aileen? Okay, raise your hands a little higher there. Okay, so, and Cindy, and all of us are happy to talk to you about that at any time, but those are the people who know all of the details. It is now time for our offertory. This congregation and the work that we do is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who contribute. The offering is a sacrament of the Free Church. You may place your donation in the plate as it comes around, or use the QR codes that will be on the screen, or you can donate via our website, and you can mail checks directly to our office at any time. And Eliza will be playing for us. We thank you for these gifts. May we use them wisely in the service of our congregation and our community. Part of being a community is doing things together. We do more than just meet on Sunday mornings. And yes, we have a special announcement today.
Good morning. It's time for Circle Suppers again. This is from the March the 7th, 1967 issue of the Capital Unitarian. If you have been wanting to meet some of the other members of the church but really haven't had the opportunity to do so, become a participant in the Circle Suppers, which are being initiated in April. Here, relaxing in homey comfort and enjoying the beneficent effects of good food, you will have a chance to exchange ideas and learn from others. Like a game of musical chairs, the members of each circle will change each time, and thus we will be able to appreciate the rich diversity of backgrounds and experiences of a considerable portion of our members. So I'll have these forms to fill out. You can just be an attendee. You can be a host. It doesn't have to be supper. You can do brunch. You can do dessert. You can meet in a restaurant. It's up to you.
Thank you. We are having a couple fundraisers going on. We would like to get a new piano. It's been partially funded, but we are looking for donations. So there's a little bowl on the piano. You're welcome to put some tips in there. You can also send money directly to the office, and if you write a check, just write piano fund on the notation. Our second fundraiser ongoing is the purchase of engraved bricks to help raise funds to build a patio labyrinth in the Cornerstone Garden right outside this building. There are some forms in the lobby that you can use. You can also use the online form at polarengraving.com/Unitarian Universalist Church of Bowling Green. So hopefully you can find that. And there's a link to it on the form that's out in the lobby. If you would please get those done soon so we can get started and raise some money for our projects. Thank you. Next week, we are looking forward to hearing from Ken Kuhn, who will be speaking on moving forward together in honor of Women's History Month. So we'll be hearing from Ken next week. We hope you can join us then. You can find out more about what's happening here at this church by going to our website and visiting us on Facebook, looking at our weekly email updates that come out on Thursday and our monthly newsletter that comes out soon. So if you have anything for the newsletter, please send that in soon to editor@uucbg.org. You can subscribe to our emails by writing to office@uucbg.org. Our closing hymn today is in the Teal Hymnal, hymn 1016. There is some Spanish to go along with the English. If you feel comfortable, you can sing in whatever language moves you. Please rise in body or spirit. It starts with a chorus. There are 4 verses, and we do the chorus in between each verse. And Michelle will be leading us in this. Our final reading will be given by Roxanne.
A white rose. I am a white rose, with roots firm deep into the motherland. My stem stretches like El Camino. Thorns are the way to remember where I have been. The crowning glory is my bloom of velvet crown. White as a memory of childhood, I stand in the sun. A white rose I am.
And that was by Nellie from Glasgow, not so far away. We invite you to share your thoughts about today's service. You can send comments to the Sunday Services team at sunday-services@uucbg.org. If you're here in person and you want to write it out, there's a little blue box in the lobby. You can drop your comments in there, and you can use the online form with the QR codes. Those are posted on the bulletin boards around, so you can find them. And if you're viewing us, sharing with us online, there's a link in the YouTube channel where you can send your comments. So we thank you. We hope to see you here next week. At this time, we're going to say farewell to our online friends. We hope you found this service meaningful, and we invite you to join us again, either here in person or online. Be well and go in peace.